What's up, guys? So I was just listening to the audio on this, and I realized that something happened to the negatives of Chrono Cross. So let me just go over those real quick here. Number one, I would say that by now they should have some quality of life things like prompts. Like, so when you need to investigate something or when something's interactive, it should probably let you know. That was a big one for me. There's also an issue with frame rate dropping or just being stable in general. It didn't happen a lot, but when it did happen, it was noticeable. The other thing that I want to put in is I also don't really like the screen ratio options that we had. The 3:4, it's fine. It's, retro, whatever, but I was hoping for maybe something that was full screen that wasn't just like stretched out across it. Anyway, that's all I got. Que pasa, mi amigos? Nima here. So pretty much everyone and their mom has done a review or some sort of discussion about Chrono Cross. But since publishers and developers don't really like me, I don't get any sort of review copies for anything. I buy everything and I get it day of release, and then I just ignore everyone around me and play these games. So I definitely want to talk about Chrono Cross. So before I get into that though, I just want to thank all of you wonderful people who are liking and subscribing and really making this channel grow. You guys are awesome, and I want this to be like your community, your channel as well. So I just wanted to let y'all know that. Anyway, I wanted to start off talking about a few things that I haven't heard people mention with Chrono Cross. First, with the gameplay. It is a turn-based RPG, but it has a different mechanic than I've seen, potentially ever, honestly. So when you attack another enemy, you have like three different options. You have 1, 2, 3. 3 being the most damage you can deal, 1 being the least amount. But the thing is, why you wouldn't just spam 3 is because with each increasing damage also decreases your accuracy. So yeah, maybe you might be able to put high output of damage, but there's a good chance you'll miss the hit. So you really do want to find a good balance between high risk and high reward. Now the other thing that's pretty cool is with each successful hit, your accuracy will grow. So you can start off with hitting the weakest, and if it's a hit, then your higher output damages will also go up in accuracy as well. So like, let's say you hit with 1, well 3 then can jump from 60% to maybe 80%. So kind of working this into a combo system is pretty much your best bet. Although there are times when you do just need to put down a lot of damage and get it done quickly, namely against more difficult enemies. And I will say though, difficulty in this game isn't really what I remember. It's pretty easy and straightforward, namely though due to the fact that it has a kind of an interesting leveling system as well. So you don't ever really gain levels, but you do gain stats. HP, strength, damage, all that kind of stuff, vitality, stamina, but you don't even gain levels, so you don't really know what level anybody's at. And if you're like me, you like to explore and kind of grind, and before you know it, you're doing pretty well. And I do like that because it opens up the story. Because another thing that a lot of people haven't been talking about with Chrono Cross is just how amazing the story is. It's very adult. I mean, any time that you're starting off and the main character, and I hope I'm not ruining anything, but you find out died at 7 years old in one of the paths that you take, one of the alternate realities, as there are 2, 3 different a bunch of different realities, honestly, that you're jumping back and forth between, and understanding what you can do to make characters grow, and you can change side quests, you can change characters' interactions with each other. All of these things really meld and blend, and it can be confusing at times, but then it can also be really, really engaging and super interesting. I just like that because it really does have more adult tones to it. Instead of like, I don't know, you're just some high school kid and, you're worrying about high school crap or little kid stuff. Like, I love some of those JRPGs, but I do get tired of basically being like a 10-year-old. And I don't know, it doesn't really grasp me, somebody who is, in my early 30s. But I will say too, another thing with Chrono Cross that I found pretty remarkable was the graphics. A lot of people aren't talking about it, but I gotta say this. In handheld mode, OLED, this game looks damn good. And everything about it just pops off the screen. The character design, the environments, the biomes, the different characters in general, like not just your core characters, but the NPCs, the enemies. It really does look good. I don't know why a lot of people, I understand, like, okay, it's not Final Fantasy VII to Final Fantasy VII Remake, but that's not what we were expecting, so I don't understand why people are kind of dogging this game for that. But aside from the fact that, yeah, the graphics have definitely been improved. The story is so much better now that I'm older and I understand it a little bit more. The music, sweet God, maybe one of the, if not the best soundtrack from this era, if not in general. Like, let's be honest, this has an amazing soundtrack. The composer was just fantastic. Like, I find it interesting that when I think about composers and music, most of the talent anymore is in indie games, but you could definitely tell, like, that this one was dealt with a lot of care. So much like the indie games are now, where the composer really had a lot of insight into the game and really put his soul into the soundtrack. And so it's definitely amazing. Ultimately, though, I think it's interesting because this is a game that, as soon as it was announced, I was super happy. Like, I'm not one of those people who is overly happy or overly angry, but I verbally expressed my joy for Chrono Cross coming out. And I had these instant memories of nostalgia and enjoying this game. As I played it, though, I realized my nostalgia was false. Like, when this game came out, I remember that it was really hard to get at Blockbuster. We were really poor, so buying games just wasn't really an option. But I would bug my mom and dad, like, every Friday after school, take me to Blockbuster, and I would look for Chrono Cross. And lo and behold, it was always out. The one day that it was there, though, I got it, and I held on to it for like a week. And if I remember right, like, that had extra fees and whatever from Blockbuster. That's why Blockbuster died. That was the last time I played it, by the way. I played it for like that 1 week, and I really thought, like, when this came out again, I was super excited. I could get back into it. I could play it again. Having all these, I can finally beat it, and I can finish the story. Well, as soon as I started playing it, and maybe, I don't know, 5-7 hours into the game, I realized I've never done most of this. Like, when I had it as a kid, I must have not done very much or not gone as far as I thought I did. There are different, like, little things that create these, like, sparks of refraction in my brain that, I see a certain character or a certain environment, and I'm like, oh yeah, I remember this. I completely, it's almost like I forgot to remember. But ultimately, I look at this game and I see the quality and just how amazing these, like, late 90s, early 2000s JRPGs were. I see the fact that they did put some work into it. They really did, guys. It's not just a straight port. Like, there is definitely quite a bit of work into it. Not to mention, also having the Radical Dreamers and that added as well, which I really haven't messed with, to be honest. But you have this whole game, I mean, hundreds of hours, honestly, if you want. Because, there's 45 or 40 characters you can add to your team. I shouldn't have said 100 hours, but there's a lot of hours. Just to beat it base, I think I saw it was like 38 to 44 hours. That's without doing the side quests and trying to collect all the characters. All of this is redone, and it's $20. I really think, like, this is one of those projects we should support. Like, especially if we do want, like, a Chrono Cross or Chrono Trigger, or we want some of these other games like Golden Sun or Suikoden for some of us. Legend of Dragoon. We want these games to get re-released, and we want these companies to understand there's money on the table. They're just leaving it. I think they forget. I honestly do. And so I think if we want to see Final Fantasy IV redone in HD, 2D, and all that kind of stuff, we gotta actually go out and buy the games when they come out, especially when they're like $20 like this. And honestly, it's a great stroll down JRPG memory lane. It's such a fantastic game. I've really, really enjoyed it. Definitely not my game of the year, but a great game. Like, for me, it's a solid 8 out of 10. Anyway, guys, I wish you health, wealth, and most importantly, I hope you're happy. Take care, guys. I love you.